Tom, give me your name, your spelling of your name, and where you currently work.
Oh, okay. Tom Healy, Healy, and I currently live part-time in Queens, New York, and I also upstate in Catskills.
So tell me how you ended up here today. What do you do in the Catskills? What's your job, and why you came here today?
Well, I'm a retired subway yard master for New York City Transit, and retired 2 years. So I work upstate in the Catskills on a Catskill Mountain Railroad. I volunteer for them part-time. And I heard the guys down here needed help putting together some track, and that's something I like to do. I've got some tools. I figured I'd come down, give the guys a hand getting this track panel set up for their steam locomotive. They put an ad out on the, on the internet, and saw that, gave Steve a call to come up, and I figured I'd come out and give him a hand for a couple of weekends.
So is this, tell me about the excitement of doing something like this. Have you done this before, like this type of work, and
yes,
and the historical aspect, the preservation aspect?
Yeah, I kind of float around. I've worked on different railroads. I'll volunteer tourist railroads if they need a hand, and I get wind of it. I try and go up and give them a hand, and whatever little knowledge that I have about putting a track together. We've done it here. I've done it up in the Catskills, up in Cooperstown, New York. Worked up that way, up in Parkville, up in the Catskills. So I did a little bit of track work, and when I heard the guys are doing it this weekend, I figured I need my exercise in the winter. It's a good way of getting out of the house, get a little exercise, warm up, and get a lot accomplished. At the end of the day, when you look at this and see what this, this panel's laid out like this, a future home for the steam locomotive, it's a nice feeling when you get a lot of work done in a day, especially in the winter when it's cold out.
Is this unusual? Like, is this kind of, do you feel like a part of history and preservation doing this?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I enjoy the history aspect of railroading. I've done it for 35 years in the subway system, and I like that aspect of it, of the history of it, and so if I can contribute a little bit to keep that history alive in different tourist venues, around, I'm always willing to help out.
And I was asking before, how do you guys know how to do this? Like, this is not something that is done by hand maybe anymore, and figuring out how to put all this together. How do you know how to do all this?
Well, for me, I've done it through different railroads. We learn from scratch, same thing. I'd come down one day, I have no knowledge of what's going on. I picked up a lot of it while working in the subway system, and how putting track together there, watch the guys, track gangs there working. I used to work in a division where I would supply, work with the work trains and getting material together, so I'm familiar with all the parts and all that stuff, and we've learned that when we first started. Then going around working with different tourist railroads, helping them out with track projects, you learn as you go. It's just practice, practice, practice.
You called it a track gang.
Track gang is a bunch of guys. There's your track gang, right here. There's a bunch of volunteers or a couple of guys get together. Everybody, and you have a little safety meeting in the morning. You get an idea of what the goal is going to be for the day. Everybody gets a little bit of an assignment of where they're going to work, what gang. You can have a big long track project, but you could have certain gangs, a group of guys working together on different sections of the track, putting it together. And each guy maybe have his own little specialty of what he does. And then, when you work in unison, you get a flow going, and then you get a lot done. Putting these panels together last week and laying it all out was a very good accomplishment for our volunteers here, considering it was 30 degrees, snow flurries in the air, and it was brutal cold. But they got a lot done, and by the end of the day, you go home. I call it a 2 Advil day. I said, by the end of the day, you probably needed 2 Advil after the day's work. You had a good day.
But it's satisfying. I mean, you guys...
Yes, it's very satisfying knowing that, you're preserving a little bit of history, or you're helping maybe another tourist railroad, come along and, further their projects. So.
Thank you, Tom.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.